This is The Raid, exposing the dark world of America's deportation machine. I'm your host, John Carlos Frey. As we witness the immigration raids across the country, typically in large blue cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and recently Minneapolis, the after effects are hard to quantify. What happens to the communities once the large show of force goes away? What happens when people remain in fear as immigration enforcement continues, but more covertly? People are still afraid to leave their homes and show up for work, or even take their kids to school. Many people have disappeared altogether. The after effects, as I'm calling them, are beginning to be measured in real ways. The human toll and the inhumane approach of law enforcement and its violation of laws of the Constitution will remain the primary focus of this podcast. But there are now starting to emerge real measurable economic impacts as well. The Los Angeles County Department of Economic Opportunity and Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation recently released a report analyzing the economic impacts of federal immigration enforcement activities on small businesses, workers, and communities across Los Angeles County. This study was conducted after LA saw the large show of force and immigration raids in June of 2025. Enough time has passed, and the damage caused by the raids is now measurable. The report draws on a combination of data analysis and direct input from businesses and communities across Los Angeles County. The report is also based on analyzed economic and workforce data, immigration court records, and transportation and travel indicators. And it conducted in-depth interviews with small business owners and community forums. Lastly, a county-wide business impact survey was conducted to better understand how recent federal immigration enforcement activities directly affected local businesses and workers in LA County. The report is a real statement underscoring not only the human toll of those most deeply affected, the immigrants themselves and their immediate family members, but also the community at large. It is difficult to estimate the major and lasting impacts of the immigration raids on large metropolitan areas, but business impact is quantifiable. In his State of the Union address a few days ago, Trump declared that the U.S. is entering a golden age, an affordability era. He framed the first year of his second term as a turnaround for the ages, claiming to have resuscitated an economy he described as being in crisis when he took over. The after effects of the immigration raids may tell a completely opposite and different story altogether. Here are the key findings of the LA County Economic Impact Report. In Los Angeles County, undocumented workers contribute an estimated $253.9 billion in total economic output, equivalent to 17% of the county's gross domestic product. Just let that number sink in. I don't think there would be a city in America who wouldn't welcome that kind of an economic engine. These workers support over 1 million jobs and generate $80.4 billion in labor income across industries including construction, manufacturing, retail, and services. I'm going to keep going with the statistics from the report because they tell one of the real stories of the destructive effects of the immigration raids on local economies. Here we go. 90% of the business interview respondents perceived growing distrust across federal and local governments. It's not a great way to participate in civic society if you can't even trust the government. 82% of businesses surveyed reported negative impacts from the immigration enforcement, with 44% losing over half of their revenue. Again, of the respondents, 44%, almost half, lost half of their revenue. 52% of the businesses that responded experienced reduced daily sales revenue, and 51% reported decreased customer traffic. These are not partisan or political, they're just numbers. 59% of employees expressed concern about maintaining their current workforce. 70% of businesses experienced staffing shortages following enforcement action. 33% of employers said workers were too afraid to report to work. Imagine if you own a business and your employees are too afraid to come. Here are just a few more areas where the Los Angeles raids had an effect on the community. Bus ridership on high vulnerability lines declined by approximately 17,000 monthly riders. The downtown LA curfew, which was imposed during the raids from June 10th to June 16th, 2025, just 6 days, resulted in $840 million in output losses, 7,000 less kids in public schools than before the raids. Los Angeles County Board Chair and 1st District Supervisor Hilda Solis said, "Small businesses and workers across Los Angeles County have felt the real consequences of the Trump administration's cruel and inhumane federal immigration enforcement. This report shows how these actions have affected livelihoods and disrupted the local economy and challenged our communities. It highlights the vital contributions of immigrant workers and the obstacles small businesses face when fear and uncertainty take hold. They are ripping apart families and treating neighborhoods like war zones. And now we have hard data about the damage that they're doing to the economy. Our businesses recorded millions of dollars in losses in a matter of months. This is entirely the administration's doing. It may seem insensitive to measure the impacts of the immigration raids in terms of economic impact. But the economy is the community, and now it's measurable. If part of the economy was built on an unfair system of allowing people to come to the United States without proper documentation and work and build lives, it would only make sense that ripping out the underground infrastructure with a militaristic approach would have long-lasting damaging effects. Some may say it needed to be done. Undocumented workers should not be allowed into the country, period. But it is the very titans of industry like agriculture, construction, and service industries that have employed them for decades in the wealthy state of California and across the nation. They have a responsibility in what is happening. We have allowed them to give us their labor, their ingenuity, their sense of family, and now that the political winds have shifted and people voted for increased immigration enforcement, we have decided to strip them of everything they have worked for, including enriching our country by hundreds of billions of dollars. And instead, we incarcerate them without criminal charges and give them a deportation notice in return for their major contributions. Thank you for listening to The Raid, available wherever you get your podcasts. For more information about our guests and the subjects we cover, please visit our website at theraidpodcast.org.